Good afternoon, this is Chris Stanton for the CSBS Podcast. As most of my listeners already know, on a weekly basis on Wednesday at 3 p.m. I have my hour-long sports radio talk show that is done live. But I also, on a weekly basis, put out these little podcasts. And these are meant for people online who have their own broadcasts. And they're meant to be informative and educational in hopes that you can incorporate some of this knowledge and increase the quality of your own broadcast. Because quite frankly, we can all use it. Today I want to talk about somewhat of the end game, what we're all trying to achieve with our broadcast, and that is the jobs that we hope to get in the sporting industry. Specifically, I want to talk about 3 of them. And the first of them being is what I'm doing right now, the show host. Now for me, this is the end game. I want to be just another one of the performing monkeys talking about the rumor mongering in all of sports. Because let's face it, is there any man in America who does not want to sit around all day being paid to talk about sports? It's the dream job for me, and it's what I want to do, and it's what I am trying to achieve. Now, could be the downside of it. It's not always held in the greatest esteem, especially by certain professional players and certain coaches in those professional leagues.
Let me answer that. That is an absolute crock of you people in the news media, all of you, dwell on some negative piece of like that, and I don't know how Steve feels about it, but it just, and you don't have to bleep one single word of this.
But who cares? As long as Bob Knight keeps giving us sound bites like that, don't need his respect. It's going to be fun anyway. And as far as the respect thing goes, a lot of them do. That was just my cheesy little segue into using that clip, because let's face it, can't get enough of Bob Knight sound clips. But like I said, the show host is something that, especially with the internet, we can all work at and we can all practice at, but it's hard to attain lasting success, especially at a meaningful level, because it is such a popular and desirable job. As I said before, who wouldn't want to get paid all day to just talk about sports, which makes it a very competitive industry and makes it very tough to break into. But with either proper training or by incorporating your own experiences to creating a desirable product, you can at least get yourself noticed. Now, where you go from there is a matter of connections, luck, and timing. On to the next one. But before the next one, if you're like me, you're always looking for a great place to watch the big game. And the best place I have found is Phil's Sports Bar and Grill. It's located on the corner of Prairie and Burlington in Brookfield, Illinois. Phil's features daily specials, 10 TVs, and complimentary Wi-Fi so that you can follow your fantasy leagues. And on top of all that, Phil's has a great atmosphere and sensational food. Check out Phil's Sports Bar and Grill today. The next one I want to talk about is the color analyst. The color analyst is the person who is broadcasting a sporting event via radio or television, and they provide the context of what is happening. So you'll have the person doing the factual play-by-play who's calling the action, but then you'll have the person who provides context and storyline to what is occurring. These individuals typically tend to be former athletes or coaches, which make these some of the toughest jobs to get in all of sports. Because before you can get hired at a high level at it, you're almost required to have been an elite level athlete or coach. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't even think of a league or duo or broadcast team that is not at least one half professional athlete. You think of Fox, it's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, the 3-time Super Bowl winner. You go down the line to CBS. Who's there? Phil Simms. And on and on. Who's there with NBC with Al Michaels? It's Chris Collinsworth, former receiver for the Bengals. This will probably be the toughest job to get just because you have to compete against people who achieved great success in a professional league. So, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you're going to have to basically pay your dues at a lot of lower levels, specifically calling high school and maybe even college. And when I say college, obviously we're not talking Division I, we're talking Division II or III. All of these are going to be local broadcast and regional, and you'd have to be exceptional at what you do. But that brings us to the play-by-play announcer. And as I mentioned earlier, these are guys like Jim Nance and Al Michaels. These are individuals who do the factual play-by-play, who describe what is occurring within the context of the game. And then the context of that analysis is brought to you by the color analyst. So Al Michaels is probably the most famous one going now, and that's just because he's been around forever and had some of the most indelible moments in all of sports. Of course, the one everyone thinks of is the 1980 Olympic hockey team. But these are also really important. But the nice thing about these jobs is that anybody can achieve them. Obviously, you need to work towards it and build up your credentials and network and have a little bit of luck. But it is something that can be achieved with the right amount of perseverance. So those are the three biggest ones. And there are a lot of jobs around them. Things like the update anchors on radio, the sideline reporters on television. Great jobs that give you a lot of notoriety and are very sought after because they can launch you into the discussion of getting those upper echelon jobs. But when we get into this industry, the sports broadcasting industry, what are we aiming for? We're aiming for hosting our own show, being the play-by-play announcer, or being the color analyst for a major network. That is what everybody's aiming for. And with that in mind, I hope now that you can keep these jobs in mind and use them as a goal or something for you to persevere for. My name is Chris Stanton, and you've been listening to the CSBS podcast. Tune in every Wednesday at 3 p.m. to listen to my live show, the CSBS Sports Edition. And please feel free to comment either on my Facebook page, on Twitter at the CSBS, read my Tumblr account, or even just send me an email at cmstanton2@gmail.com. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend. This is Chris Stanton, and that is it.